Hello and welcome. It's time for that VidBlaster guy. That's me, Tom Sinclair. Glad to be with you today. Really excited about today's show. VidBlaster just this morning here in the U.S. I guess it was probably in the middle of the day or late afternoon over in Holland. But just today was released the latest beta with VidBlaster, version 3.30. Yes, 3.0. We're into the 3.3s now. And with that comes two really cool features. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that in just a second. The whole idea behind this show, if you're just joining us for the first time, is that one guy with one PC, not a room full of PCs now, one single PC can do a pretty darn good broadcast. And that might be a talking head show like this. It might be a church broadcast where you're actually producing it, not necessarily starring in it. Or it may be a sporting event where you've got other folks on board as camera people and announcers and helpers of various types. But here's the good news, folks. Only one PC required to do it really well. And that's what this show, we're going into our third year now, that's what this show has been proof of concept on. That one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. Still working on the awesome broadcast part. You know, that's the part that takes some expertise. And sometimes getting the PC dialed in can take some expertise too. But in terms of being one guy, yep, there's just me here. There's nobody else. If you're interested in the new version from VidBlaster, you can download it and try it for free. It's a trial edition. It's equal to what's called the Studio Edition, which there are 4 editions of VidBlaster, and the Studio is kind of the next to the top version. Not quite the cream of the crop, but almost. And the Studio version you can get from the VidBlaster support forum, and that's forum.vidblaster.com. I probably should have a little URL I could pop up there. I don't think I've got one prepared today. Sorry about that. Anyway, forum.vidblaster.com, and go to the downloads section and find version 3.30, should be the very first one listed, and read all about it and read about what you're downloading, and then download it, install it, and play with it. If you've got a licensed version of VidBlaster that's a version 3 version, you can upgrade to the latest beta for free. No need to pay for anything or get any approvals or anything like that. You can go straight to the latest beta if you want. I think version 3.25 maybe was the latest release version, maybe 3.17. But I'm sorry, I got distracted by somebody giving me a long message in the chat room. We're going to turn the volume down just a hair and see if that doesn't help. The version 3.30 has 2 new features. Well, not really new, sort of. I guess we would say revamped features, or 2 newly retooled features, or 2 rebuilt features. Maybe that's the best, or new versions of old features. Sorry about that. Got hooked onto that little diatribe and couldn't get rid of it. One of my favorite parts of VidBlaster early on, when I first got to use VidBlaster, was something called screen capture. And screen capture I had a TV talk show that I ran for a while that was Talking Soccer TV, and it was a local show, and we interviewed a lot of local soccer coaches and had them on to talk about last week's games and next week's games and that kind of stuff. And they all called in with Skype. I had one of those multi-Skype subscriptions, so I could have multiple video windows in front of me. And I would use VidBlaster's screen capture ability to carefully draw a little X or a little box around the screen of these guys' images, and then I would import those kind of as cameras in VidBlaster, and it worked really, really well. Now, some of the guys had a slow internet connection, and so sometimes their video would freeze, but their audio continued. And you know, people were really more interested in what we had to say than what we looked like. But interesting that VidBlaster has now put out, after probably 4 or 5 years, a new screen capture. And the new screen capture is really cool. It takes a whole different look at screen capture. And it's almost more window capture than it is screen capture. I mean, it has an option to capture this. Well, let me show it to you. This is the new screen capture. There it is in the top left-hand corner. And I put it in the top left-hand corner because I want to come out and show you some of the menus. Let's see, I've got it showing you my Windows Task Manager right now. But we'll right-click on it. And you know what? It doesn't want to. I set this up earlier and it must have reconfigured itself. So let's go to this side and we'll go to capture window. Oh, we still can't see it all. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can't make this work by just moving some stuff around here. And let's try and see if that'll work. There we go. So let's reconfigure we're using the old screen capture to show this. And we'll bring it out to about there. And we'll slip those guys out of the way. One of the things I love about VidBlaster's ability to configure your screen however you want to. Alright, so if we right-click the screen capture module, it brings down a drop-down menu. And it has 3 different sections. The first section is started with capture window. And I think it's probably not the noun capture window, but probably the verb to capture a window. And over here in the column to the right, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different windows that VidBlaster sees that it can capture. The one that's being captured right now is the one with the little white dot out to the left of it, called the Windows Task Manager. But let's go to this one. This is Eastern Shore Broadcasting - Google Chrome, and what that is my chat room. So we'll go to that, and then we're going to activate it just simply by clicking on it. And you guys can see that's what the chat room window looks like. And it's interesting because the actual chat room window has a different aspect ratio. It's actually taller and longer. I'll show you this. This is kind of our pre-show and post-show chat. But that's what the chat room window looks like. It's kind of tall and skinny. When VidBlaster captures it, it makes it a little wider and a little easier to read, actually. We're going to right-click again, and let's go back, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Right-click, capture window. Let's go to Wirecast Streaming Settings, 9.3.14 Wirecast, and this is what we're using to stream today. And so we're going to capture that window, and we'll bring that window up on the screen. And of course, the middle of it will immediately go to infinity. So you can't really see a whole lot there, but you can see the shots that are down below there. There's a shot in yellow that's the VidBlaster shot. So let's go back here, and we will capture one more window. Let's capture VidBlaster Broadcast, and that's going to be my desktop, and you can see that's what my desktop looks like. Now, I don't know if you can see at home, but I don't know that you can see my mouse. You might be able to see my mouse. No. Yeah, you can see it in this window right here. Oh, there we go. But I don't know that you can see the mouse directly. I can't see it, let me put it that way. So let's go back to the screen capture module. And we've got a couple of these, and I think, this is the first time it's out of the box, so we don't really know what they are. But this says AMD CCC AEM capturing window, which is just blank. I think that's some sort of process that doesn't happen to show up. And let's see, we've done Windows broadcast. We'll do that. That's just another window that I've got up that talks about in fact, that's the VidBlaster forum page that allows you to download VidBlaster. And we also have the option that supports hidden windows. That's really interesting. So we'll enable that one. And then when we go back to it, doesn't look like I have any hidden windows. But I have noted that, and let's see if we can show that window right there. That's the VidBlaster forum window. And actually on my monitor, I'm getting some flickering on the monitor. And every now and then you can see a little bit of a flicker in this screen. Looks like the aspect ratio is a little off. You can see that's Mike Versteeg in the top left-hand corner. And his face is a little squished. So we're getting it's changing the aspect ratio there. So we'll have to probably suggest that as a bug. If I turn off support for hidden windows, that does reconfigure that page in terms of its aspect ratio, but it's still not the way it should be. At least it doesn't look like that to me. Perhaps it looks better at home. The Jan in the chat room is saying that the hidden windows part really isn't for windows that are completely hidden. It's for windows that are partially hidden, partially blocked by another window. So let's try this. Let me come back to this screen for just a second, and I'm going to take that forum window and I'm going to slide it under our chat room window so that you can see right now. Actually, that's the forum window is on top of the chat room window there in the right pane. So if we go to screen capture and support hidden windows, and then let's go to the Eastern Shore Broadcasting Google Chrome. That will now be the window that is partially blocked by the forum window. Again, the aspect ratio is a little off, and so that's going to have to be adjusted. Let's see, let's go to the other Google Chrome window. Yeah, right there. And we're actually going to take that window and we're going to cover it up with another window. And you see it didn't change. There's a little flickering at the top, and again, the aspect ratio is off. But it's a beta. Hey, we're making some progress. So we're going to turn off support for hidden windows. And we'll look now, smooth resampling, transition. Those are some of our familiar commands. Display size allows us again to change the size of the module display. Info will tell us what that module is. In this case, it's a screen capture. Clear will clear the screen. Well, actually, clear didn't clear the screen on it. But if we go back, yeah, clear didn't clear anything. So that needs a little bit of work. But looks like it's got some promise there. Looks like it's got some promise. And we can work with this, I think, and help move it forward as time goes on. So that's the new screen capture in VidBlaster. Probably the biggest news, I think, in this one is that, well, two big pieces of news. One is that you can very quickly capture an entire window. I mean, you saw me right-click, slide your mouse down to the window that you want to capture, and boom, you've got it right there, and it's on display immediately. So if you want to quick and dirty get to something without spending the time to just dial in exactly what the box should be, yes, you can do that now. The other is the ability to capture a window that's hidden or 1% visible. I don't know what type of visibility it has in order to be able to be seen. Let's see. Let me experiment with that here just for a second. I'm going to take the forum window and I'm going to almost cover up completely the chat room window so that when we look at the chat room now, we can see, you can't see any of the chat room. So let's go back to our screen capture, and we're going to tell it that we want to support hidden windows, and we want it to show us the Eastern Shore Broadcasting Google Chrome, and there it is. And it is, I would say, 95% covered by another window, and there it is. If I turn off support for hidden windows, you can see that it's capturing the window, but the window is covered. And if I bring the window to the foreground, now you can see the entire window, but the window was covered by that. But it just has the dimensions of that window. So this looks really cool, really cool. I think it's going to be a very popular feature, one that will get a lot of use as time goes on. The other feature that has come out, and I'm not your video expert. I'm just a dad that got into streaming video because my kids were playing sports, and there were other parents that wanted to see it and they couldn't be present. So I got into streaming and made lots of mistakes, and that's part of the reason for this show, is hopefully folks that are just starting out can avoid some of those mistakes. But one of the things that I recall from early on was not knowing a lot about video and not knowing the difference between different types. There was video that had a MOV appended to the end of the file name. There were some that had AVI appended to the file name, or WMV, or MP4, or FLV, and they were all different ways in which the video file was recorded and saved and could be edited and viewed later. VidBlaster used to, in earlier versions, have several options for saving the files. And you could save it as a WMV, you could save it as an AVI, I think you could save it as a FLV maybe, and there was maybe one or two others. And then with the more recent recorder, that was all sort of slimmed down to the MP4. And let me bring in the recorder module here into our screen capture. And so there was some, I won't say outcry, but there was some request from users to give us more options for saving. Here is what the new recorder module looks like. Kind of looks like the old one. It has the ability to be condensed down. Whoops, excuse me. I left my screen capture module under it. Let me put that back there. So we can condense it down, we can expand it out. If we right click, that gives us the commands to record, to stop, the source, which module do we want to use this as the source. That kind of goes off the bottom, but the one I've got selected at the bottom is program. Where do we want to save the recording to? We want to save it to a, well, it doesn't look like I want to be able to move that window. Do we want to save it to our hard drive? Do we want to save it to a remote drive somewhere? That's the options that we have. And so we can choose where we want to save it. Let's see, can't get that window off. Maybe that's a little bug that's popped up there somewhere. That window doesn't want to. There we go. Okay. I guess it wouldn't. Let's try one more time. Save recording to. If I click cancel, yeah, there we go. All right, we'll have to play with that one and see if that's a bug or if that's just me. So save recording to means that I can save this to a remote hard drive. I can save it to a remote device. The container is really where our new part appears to be. It looks like we can save it to 4 different types. The first one is Matroska, M-A-T-R-O-S-K-A. And I have to admit, I don't have a clue what that is. I suspect that may be a popular European format. The second one is an MPEG, which is MPEG-2PS. The third one is an MPEG-2TS. And the fourth one is an MPEG-4 or an MP4. And those were specific types that were requested by different users of VidBlaster in the VidBlaster support forum. There's a section of the forum called Feature Request, and you can put in a request for a feature to be added, and these were some of the things that were be added. This recorder is being pointed out to me that it automatically saves now. And that's great. I haven't tested. In fact, we might test it here in just a second and see what happens. We have the ability to select resolution or take auto, which means whatever VidBlaster's global resolution is, we'll use that. And audio device, of course, we have to select an audio device because that is where the audio for the recording would come from. So we've got that selected there, and you can see the dot next to it means we have it selected. Display size, info, and remove module are just like the others. So let's select a container that'll be a TS, and we'll save our recording to My Videos. And so we will, what happens if I left click the recorder? Does it start it? No. All right, right click, so I'm going to say record. And now we're recording. Whatever is in the recorder, whatever's in the program monitor. So we'll switch over to that for just a second. And then we'll switch back to the screen capture. And that records it. So we'll go to stop. And we have stopped. I wonder where this recording went. Goodness gracious. Oh, we should set the bit rate. That's a comment in the chat room. Well, let's see if we can find. Bear with me just a second. Let's make sure that I can find that image and make sure, or excuse me, that video. And there it is. Let's see. Let me put this up where we can screen capture it a little bit. Actually, it's a window. We'll use the screen capture device to capture this window. How about that? So let's go to screen capture. In fact, I'll show you what I'm doing. Screen capture, capture window. And this is going to be videos. So there we go. And there's our file right there. VidBlaster, and then it's got a sequence of numbers after it that appear to have something to do with the date. Maybe 14 would be the year, 10 would be the month, 01 would be the day, and then 142929. Don't know what that would be. And then this is going to be a MPEG-2 TS video, just about 2 megs, 16 seconds, frame height 480. So there it is. And then of course you would want to go in and rename it, put it someplace where you needed it. But I think the ability, previously VidBlaster asked you for a name. And then when you gave it a name, it would take the temporary copy that it had saved, and it would copy that temporary copy or rename it or whatever process it did. But essentially it would, yeah, it copied it from one place to another place and then erased the old one. And so if you had several hours of recording, it might take a little while. And if you had a PC failure during that time, Lord only knows what would happen. So this new recorder looks like it's got the ability to already have the name built in, and it is a unique name that it obviously builds in the date and probably the time in milliseconds or something. Who knows? I'll see if I can find out. And then also, it's saved right then and there. There's no saving process. It's already saved. As soon as you hit stop, that file is saved, and you can do with it what you want. So it will be interesting to play with that and test it a little bit more. Jan is saying in the chat room that the video ends up in the library that you can set from the menu where it says Save Recording To, and that's essentially where I navigated to in Windows Explorer. Yep. So that's interesting. This is going to be fun to see how it works. And one of the comments in the chat room is that somebody has macros configured for the start and stop of the recorder, so they have a very quick and easy ability just by hitting a function key on the keyboard to start the recorder and then stop the recorder without having to go into the recorder module. So that's neat. That's neat. That's going to be fun to play with and see how it does. And I'm interested to see how it affects the VidBlaster's performance, i.e. the CPU usage, because that's one of the criticisms of all software is that it is CPU heavy. We are out of time. We're actually over time. I apologize for that, but I appreciate those of you watching live sticking around for this, and I invite you to stay for the intermission. Jan has bought coffee and donuts for everybody, so we'll be having that in just a bit. If you're watching us on YouTube, would love to have you subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter too, and I think it's a VidBlaster guy on Twitter, and then that VidBlaster guy on YouTube, and you can keep up with what's going on with the latest with this show and the other shows that we're producing. Full disclosure, should have mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Sorry about that. I am an authorized VidBlaster reseller. You can buy VidBlaster from me. You can get VidBlaster upgrades from me, and then you can get personal support from me. I've been corresponding with somebody the last day or so, and they said, "Oh, we wish we'd bought VidBlaster from you to begin with because you're so much easier to deal with than this other person." Well, thank you for the compliment, and you can actually go to our store, that vidblasterguide.com, and click on the store link and buy it, or even buy a support package if you purchase VidBlaster from somewhere else. We'd be happy to support you because VidBlaster is really good stuff. We like it a lot, So let me close out the broadcast, but thanks for all the guys showing up here live. If you'd like to watch us live, we're Wednesday afternoons, 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in London, except when there's a time change, which doesn't happen in the U.S. at the same time in London, but we'll work that out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.